Welcome to The Explainer. So, is Pakistan's economy finally turning a corner? We hear a lot of noise, but today we're going to get real. We're giving the economy a full checkup, using the state bank's brand new report to see what's actually going on under the hood.
And this is our guide. Look, it might seem like a dry, official document, but think of it more like a playbook. It's coming straight from the people who are actually steering the ship, and it tells us not just where we are, but where they think we're headed.
This is the question that really matters, isn't it? Forget the headlines for a second. Is the economy truly getting better for everyday people and for businesses? Well, this report claims to have the answers, so let's jump into the data and see what it has to say.
Okay, so to get started, let's just check the vital signs. These are the big headline numbers that give us a quick snapshot of the economy's overall health and, which way things are trending.
Right off the bat, you can just feel the optimism here. Take a look at the numbers for GDP growth and the FX reserves. They're both getting an upgrade. This means the state bank is basically saying, hey, you know what? Things are actually looking stronger than we thought they would be just a few months ago.
Let's zero in on this growth number. Pushing that forecast up closer to 4.75%, that's a pretty big deal. It suggests the economy isn't just slowly crawling back, it's actually starting to shift into a higher gear. And what that really means is more business activity, and hopefully that translates into more jobs. And this number is just as critical. The best way to think about foreign exchange reserves is like a national savings account for emergencies. Having a bigger buffer means the country is more resilient. It gives us a much stronger cushion to absorb any shocks, like a sudden jump in global oil prices.
So, the main numbers are looking pretty good, but what's actually powering all this growth? Okay, let's pop the hood on the economy and see what parts of the engine are really driving this recovery.
And wow, this image just says it all. This is a heat map of economic activity. Red means things are weaker than average, and green means stronger. Just look at the right side of that chart. We are seeing so much more green popping up everywhere, from manufacturing to consumer spending. It shows this recovery isn't just in one or two spots, it's happening across the board.
And if you look closer, you can see who's really leading the charge. This recovery is being led by some real heavy hitters: automobiles, garments, and cement. And these are so important because they don't just grow on their own. They create jobs and demand in tons of other businesses connected to them. That's a powerful ripple effect.
So why does this matter so much? Well, it means the growth is organic. It's coming from right here, inside Pakistan. We're not just getting lucky because of a good global economy. It's our own local industries and our farms that are getting back on their feet and really pushing this recovery forward. All right, so growth is one half of the story. But what about the other half, the one that affects your wallet every single day? Let's talk about the cost of living. Let's talk about inflation. The report lays out a really clear story here. The state bank basically kept interest rates high for a while. Now, that made it more expensive for everyone to borrow money, which pumped the brakes on spending. But just as importantly, it showed everyone that the bank was dead serious about fighting inflation. And the result? Prices have finally settled down into that target range.
So where are these price pressures actually coming from? Well, this chart breaks it down. You can see food and something called core inflation are the biggest slices of the pie. Core inflation is basically just the underlying price changes for all the everyday stuff once you ignore the crazy swings in food and fuel prices. It tells us the pressure is really coming from home.
And the key takeaway from all this is confidence. The central bank is now predicting that it can keep inflation in that 5 to 7% sweet spot for the next couple of years. And that kind of stability, well, it's absolutely crucial for everyone, whether you're a family planning your budget or a business trying to make investments.
Of course, Pakistan's economy doesn't exist in a vacuum. So for this next part, let's zoom out a bit and take a look at the global picture, the good and the bad, that's shaping this whole recovery.
The global situation is a classic case of giving with one hand and taking away with the other. On the plus side, lower oil prices are a huge help. They save the country a ton of money. But at the same time, a tough global market and really low prices for key exports like rice are pushing back hard. It's a real balancing act out there.
And this is where Pakistan has a bit of a secret weapon. It's diaspora. The money that Pakistanis working abroad send home is a massive, massive source of stability. In fact, these remittances are so strong that they're pretty much covering the gap between what we import and what we export. That's what's keeping the country's external finances on solid ground.
Now, this report isn't just a big victory lap. It's also a very realistic look at what could still go wrong.
The path forward isn't guaranteed, and the state bank is being really upfront about the potential obstacles on the horizon.
Just think of this slide as the official watch list. A sudden spike in oil prices, a climate disaster that hits food supplies, or the government not being able to meet its budget targets. Any one of these things could throw a wrench in the works and knock this recovery off course. These are the real threats they're watching.
And this quote really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The report is honest. Nothing is ever certain. The economy is in a much better place, no doubt, but it's still vulnerable. The real key to success will be navigating all of this uncertainty and turning this recovery into something that lasts.
So, we kind of end where we started, but now we have a much clearer picture. The foundation definitely looks stronger, we've got domestic growth picking up, and inflation seems to be under control. But the big question is still out there. Can this momentum be sustained with all the challenges in the global economy? The report suggests the tools are there, but the real answer will come down to continued smart policy and a lot of hard work.